We are here at Module 1, Lesson 2, What Makes a Good Self-Help Book? Thanks so much for joining me. So a good self-help book provides a transformative experience for the reader, which seems kind of obvious. It's right in the title, it says self-help, right? So obviously there's a little bit more to it than just that, but that's a basic premise. So high quality self-help book solves a problem in a unique way, addresses the target reader's deep desire and core struggle, provides tools or techniques for change, and is written to engage the target reader. It presents ideas that are supported by evidence, which I'll talk about a little bit later in this lesson. And it brings the reader on a linear, clear, transformative journey. To write a high quality self-help book, you need to have your reader's journey planned out. So let's go over each of these factors. So a high quality self-help book solves a problem in a unique way. A good transformative book focuses on a specific struggle and a specific promise. So this is really the key concept to writing a self-help or wellness book that's going to be compelling to your target reader. It doesn't necessarily have to be problem solution, and really it can be more subtle than that. But what you're doing is you're solving a problem. So people go to self-help or wellness type books because they have something they want to change in their life. Even if it's something just about a mindset shift or something that maybe they're not necessarily struggling with a particular condition like depression or something like that, but they might be just noticing that they're not as happy as they could be, or they're not as, they might just have a sort of a more subtle problem that just, they just want a little bit of a shift that they think will help them lead the life that they want. So it should solve a problem, and even if it's not necessarily like a condition or not necessarily a total problem solution formula, but there is a problem. There's something that the reader wants to change. So it's really key that you identify what that problem is. Maybe you don't even want to call it a problem, but maybe it's an issue, a struggle, a shift that they want to make. You can use any word you want, but there's something that they want to change in their life. And what really makes a self-help book or wellness book really good and really attractive is if it solves this issue, promotes a shift in somebody's life in a unique way. So it should really stand out from the marketplace of other books on that topic. And so further on in the coursework, of course, I'm going to talk more about how to identify what your unique promise is. But just know that it really needs to offer something that other books don't offer. And this can be one of the most challenging things about writing a book in this genre. So, but there are definitely ways to find that unique message or unique healing approach or whatever you want to call it in your book. So if you don't necessarily have that right now, that's okay. We will work on that. So this is really the key element, that when somebody is looking for help or help making a shift or help with a specific struggle that they're facing, there are a lot of books on. There often are going to be a ton of books on that topic in the marketplace. So and later on, we'll also talk about how to actually do some market research on what does already exist, because the idea is that your book kind of fulfills a need that isn't being fulfilled by another book or project or product or expert or something. So So that is one of the real core elements of making creating a high quality, truly transformative book. So here is a list of some of the ways that your book might solve a problem or a struggle in a unique way. So maybe it will help the reader identify the deeper issue underneath the symptom, quote unquote, symptoms they're having, whether it's really symptoms or something that's happening in their life. So, for example, if you're writing a book on uh, being in a high conflict relationship where people are fighting a lot and the reader wants to change that dynamic, one of the things you're going to help them do is understand why this conflict is happening. So that's an example of identifying the deeper underlying problem that's happening, that's causing the main issues that the reader is seeking help for. So another one, you might want to take a new or innovative approach to the reader's struggles. Struggles. So an example of this that I've been seeing recently is this idea that ADHD is a gift rather than something to fix. So I've seen some books talk about this, saying like, here's how you can actually use your ADHD as a positive in your life. So that's an example of reframing something in a new or innovative way. The book might use new information or new research or new evidence that's come out recently that other books haven't reflected yet. So maybe they were written before this new information came out. So that's one way to be unique in your solution to the reader's issues. A lot of books will reflect the author's personal experience. So that's one of the models that I see a lot in self-help publishing and wellness publishing, is that the author is writing, has gone through the experience themselves and has figured out for themselves how to shift or fix or heal, or whatever the proper word is for that experience. So there's a lot of books out where the author is saying, okay, I'm going to tell you what I did to solve this problem for myself. And so that's one way that you might write a book that's unique in the way that it faces a problem, or so you might tell your own story and then maybe offer some kind of self-help elements or teaching elements in the book. And then another possibility is it reflects the author's client's experience. So I see this a lot as well. People who work with clients and see a pattern within their client work that they want to write about. They want to help others solve these problems that they're seeing pop up again and again with clients. So this might be something like, a relationship, a marriage and family counselor who sees a lot of families who are seeing, experiencing the same kind of patterns, or and then so she wants to write a book about those patterns that she's seeing and then how to overcome the patterns, because that's what she does professionally. So those are some ways that you can make your book have a unique selling proposition, I guess, unique healing proposition, unique message. So this is kind of a basic formula. Not every book has to be this simple, but just when you're working on your own project, this formula, it just might be it's sort of just a helpful way of thinking about your book. If you can finish the sentence, if you can complete the blanks in this sentence, that can be really helpful in terms of just how you see your book, how you talk about your book with others. So this book helps blank with blank so that they can achieve something. So this book helps new single moms with, I don't know, I'm not a new single mom, but with a particular issue that they might struggle with, time management, say, or getting enough sleep, or anxiety, or something that they maybe tend to experience, so that they can be more present for their child, raise a confident child, whatever the promise is that your book is going to deliver. So here's some homework. So I created a book topic worksheet, and I'm going to have a download link in the description of this video. And so the homework is download the worksheet, and explore your book's topic and unique approach to healing and growth in the worksheet. So you can either print it out. I did design it to be fillable on the computer if you want to do it that way. I think you should just be able to click in the answer field, and it should open up to allow you to work on complete it on the computer if you want. But you might want to make a few copies of this, or just write several versions of your book topic and your approach and your promise, and experiment, play with it. Just sort of just play with it, write a bunch of them, and see which one really seems to really reflect the experience of the people that you're trying to reach with your book. So if you want to you could even ask some people that in your target audience, like which ones do they prefer, and then you're welcome to share that within the group and get some thoughts and insight, feedback. So yeah, just have fun with it. This whole writing a book thing is supposed to be fun, at least some of the time, and creative. So so that is the homework for this course. I think there's going to be another one later, but so do that. Go download that stuff now, and then work on it whenever you feel like it. So the book should also address the target reader's deep desire and core struggle. So often when somebody has a presenting problem, right? So maybe they're having anxiety, or they're having a hard time in relationships because they're having some struggles, overcoming some trauma around relationships, or there's always something deeper that's happening for them, like as I was talking about before. So a highly effective transformative book is going to help their target reader identify that deep core thing that's happening. It could be a deep desire, it could be a deep fear, it could be so for example, if somebody has grown up in a family where there was a lot of trauma, a lot of conflict, they might have a really hard time trusting another person to let them get close enough to form a healthy, intimate relationship. So you would help the reader identify what is really going on for themselves when they are considering dating, or they are dating, but they're having a hard time connecting with people, so the books, what you want to do is you want to just really help them dig down into what's really going on. So dig underneath the surface to explore what's going on down there, the root cause of the emotion or the response, and then work with that. And just consider as you're planning out your book, how does the reader want their daily life to be different? I mean, really, literally, daily. Like, what are the different choices they're going to make? How are they going to be different in their just how they live their life, how they interact with others, their daily habits. So, and that should be at the top of your mind when you're writing a self-help book, because that's really the the purpose of the book is to create change or help the reader create change in their own life. So, a high quality self help book provides tools and techniques for change. So, it's not enough to explore the problem. What's the solution? Um, I think it's vital that these books provide tools for change. So, it doesn't have to be exercises like kind of traditional kind of exercises, but it should provide insights and opportunities so the reader can do their own work on this issue or struggle or problem that they're experiencing. Um, and this is important because people learn differently, right? So, like me, I personally learn better when I do the actual work, and then it gets into my brain better than if I just read about something and then don't ever do any of them. Don't actually act on what the reading is telling me is important. So, it could be journaling, it could be, there's so many ways that you can provide opportunities for the reader to do their own work on the topic that you're writing about. So, journaling, mindfulness, just answering questions, filling out, actually doing exercises with other people. Uh, there's just a ton of ways to do that. So, but in my personal opinion about this, the entire point of a self-help or wellness book is to provide the tools and techniques for change. Um, so a good high quality self-help book will offer insights, tools, techniques that are actually effective. So it's not enough to just make up something that you think might work. You need to know that it works. So whether this is easier for people who actually work with clients. You can see what works and what doesn't work. But if you don't work with clients and these are just sort of ideas you have about change, even if it worked for you, it's a good idea to get some people who you can actually have them do these techniques as well and report back, before you even write the book, report back on whether or not that works for them. So just make sure that the insights, the tools, techniques are actually going to be effective for the reader. I mean, everybody is different, so you can't really guarantee that everything's going to work for the reader, but you want to make sure that at least in your, limited experience, necessarily limited because you're just one person, that other people do find these methods effective for themselves. The book should also anticipate any problems the reader may have and putting these new tools or insights into practice. So if you're asking the reader to make a change, and you probably know very well that change can be really, really hard, especially maintaining it. So some new habits can be really hard to maintain. So usually what happens is people do it for a few days and then forget or just oh, it's not working, I'm not going to do that. So your book should anticipate that and be able to explain to the reader, okay, here's what you do when you find yourself not maintaining this kind of change that I'm suggesting. Give them the tools to work through that as well as the main topic that you're talking about. Anticipate what hurdles are gonna come up with, what questions they might have. So this is another thing I'll talk about later, but can be helpful. It can be helpful to have beta readers, people who just read the book and are sort of stand-ins for your eventual target reader, and so they can tell you what they're they can read the book and tell you if there's anything that they any problems or anything. So they might come back and say, hey, like this exercise was super interesting, but that I found myself not really doing it after 2 or 3 days, and it would be great to have some insight into what to do about that. So yeah, just make sure that to be totally useful, truly transformative, um, you're going to need to do some work in terms of just understanding your target reader, what problems are they may have, what hurdles they may have in implementing the practical stuff that you're teaching them. So the book should be written to engage the target reader. This is something that I find it's a pretty common issue. So, for example, if an author has an academic background, they were taught to write in a certain academic kind of way, but that doesn't always work well with self-help books that are written to kind of what we would call it in my old publishing company, we'd call it lay people. So people who weren't really experts on the topic, people who weren't necessarily wellness professionals themselves. So you're not writing to you yourself, you're not writing to your colleagues, you're writing to your target reader. So you really need to understand, you need to understand them. You need to understand what kind of writing and kind of language is going to help them be engaged with your book. So consider your audience, consider their reading level and the kinds of content they typically consume. So if your readers tend to be younger, or make sure that the writing is at an appropriate level for them. And there are some tools that I'll list them in the description, or the description of the video. There are some tools that can help you establish what reading level, the reading level of your manuscript. So I recommend that you use those. It's a little bit more challenging to figure out, what your target reader's reading level is. It's so there's a lot of, there's thoughts on that. So what, I've heard things like, I know it's kind of hard it sounds a little insulting, but what I've heard things like, typical people in certain types of communities have a reading level of, like, I don't know, sixth grade or something. So I don't know if that's true. I haven't studied that, but you do want to make sure that your book is they're able to read it easily, and that they're able to integrate the information that you're sharing. So so I have some more thoughts on that I'll talk about later, but it's just a consideration when you're writing. You don't really want to be writing on an academic kind of level with a lot of big words and with really long academic kind of words that people don't typically use in their regular life. So so then you also want to write in a way that sends a message that you want to send to your reader. So I usually recommend I call this the tone. So I usually recommend a tone of being supportive, comforting, and kind, yet still authoritative, still firm, right? So, and it can be a kind of a tricky balance, because you want them to keep reading. You want them to feel like you like them. You're helping them. You truly believe that they can do this. They can change this habit, or they can shift this mindset, or whatever it is that you're promising. You really believe that they can do it. And so, and that's a lot of what makes a self-help book helpful, is that the reader really feels like you like them. You're here to support them. You're not criticizing them. You're not kind of doing these sarcastic little asides that are sort of undermining. Like you're not doing that. So yeah, at the same time, you're being very, the way you would work with clients, pretty firm about the fact that you need to do the work in order to create this change in your life, right? And you need to show that you know what you're talking about. So so testing your writing on actual members of your target audience is always a good idea. So whether you work with clients, or whether you have, you're active in a community of people that you're going to be writing to, that your book's going to be written to. It could be a good idea to have a sort of a community of people that you maybe show some of your writing to, maybe not in the whole manuscript in the beginning, maybe you're just showing them a chapter or the intro or something, and see what they think about. Does it reach them? Do they feel supported by the writing? Are they, is there anything that's kind of making them uncomfortable or anything like that? It's just, yeah, I would highly recommend doing this. So, high quality self-help book your ideas should be supported in some way. So, and, I don't necessarily mean it has to have, citations from research, because I know, some of these topics that people are writing about might be something kind of what might be considered in some community or some um, areas of life, maybe a little fringe, maybe a little woo-woo, and that's fine. You don't have to be hard science. It doesn't have to be hard science that you're using as evidence. So it really depends on the topic of the book, the goal you have for the book, and the audience's expectations around. So if you're writing to a community of people who are very into energy work, and totally, that's absolutely true for them. And sometimes this sort of stuff, maybe the hard science community doesn't support some of these ideas. That's okay, because it's evidence that your audience is going to accept, not necessarily evidence that Carl Sagan's going to accept or whatever. So it doesn't have to be like a hard science thing, but it does. You do need to support your ideas. Anecdotal support is fine, depending on the type of book. It's not as fine in health books. So, like if you're talking about here's how to heal cancer, you have to be really careful that you're not, at least not from my opinion, is you have to be really careful not to offer just sort of random advice for people who have a life-threatening disease that might kill them. You have to be really responsible for the information that you're providing. I'm not a real big fan of some sort of fringe approaches to healing from cancer. But maybe somebody is, but you have to be really responsible with the information that you are providing, because you don't want to cause more damage. Like you don't want somebody to say, oh well, I'm not going to use any medical healing medicines or techniques to heal my cancer. We're just gonna follow what this book says, because it's just not great. You don't want your readers to die. So and in all of these types of books, I recommend having some information in the beginning that kind of protects you from if a reader has a bad reaction to what you're saying they should do. If you have a statement in the front saying, okay, you're taking this on yourself, there's no guarantees, so that's, you got to do that anyway. But I still think even with that, you need to be responsible for the information that you're providing. Don't make claims that are not true or that you haven't fact checked. If the tools, techniques, or methods you present have no evidence of any kind, are made up, or if you get significant facts wrong, this can severely damage your credibility. So even if you're the topic of your book and your approach might be, some people might consider it fringe or might consider it woo-woo, like that's fine. But even within that container, that community, you still want to make sure that the claims that you're making are well accepted in that community. And it's fine to sort of question some things, but you want to show why you think why you're questioning it, and show some support of your questioning that truism or that thing that other people believe. So you want to check that the information that you're providing to the best of your knowledge and your community's knowledge is correct. Um, you don't want to make stuff up. I'm a huge, you want to make sure this book is supposed to help people, and just making stuff up that you haven't tested, that you haven't even tested on yourself, is irresponsible. So you also just want to fact check. So if you get significant facts wrong, even if it's just a mistake, um, and if it can severely damage your credibility, if anybody questions what you're saying, say another expert reads it and goes, this is not true, like these facts are incorrect, then that can be a real problem. So, um, you know, there's lots of these days there's basically all the information of this that we have developed on this planet is available on the internet, but there's a lot of incorrect information as well. So, be a responsible researcher, get more than one, um, more than one study, or um, more than one person's supporting some of your ideas, right? So don't just make stuff up, and make sure that your facts are correct, because yeah, it can be a real problem if you don't do that, and you print something that's just really wrong, is totally incorrect, factually incorrect. Like it can totally destroy your credibility and tank your book. So don't do that. So the book should bring the reader on a linear, clear, transformative journey. So you are the guide for your reader. I sometimes use the metaphor of a trail guide. You're bringing the reader on this trail. You know how where the how all the twists and turns, and the dangerous spots, and the places that are great to stop and rest or whatever. But you need, you're taking them on the journey. The reader doesn't know that stuff. They don't know that, they don't know the path. So plan the journey. And I usually recommend that you start by, you sort of reverse engineer your reader's journey by, starting with the transformation you want to provide. So starting with what how their lives are going to be different daily, like what are the daily choices they're going to make that are different, and then you sort of backtrack. So, um, you know and then you can kind of look at where they are likely to be in their own journey when they start the book, and then how and where you want them to be when they end the book, and then in between you take them on the path. um, so stay on the path, and by that I mean, don't go wandering all over the mountain with tangents and things that aren't relevant to the path that you're bringing the reader on. You really want to stay on topic. You don't want to wander around and have random information that doesn't fit on the journey. This is why I really absolutely encourage people to plan their book out before they start writing, because the reader's journey is the key, one of the key core things that needs to be clear, needs to be linear, because that's how people think, that's how our brains work. That's, if it's just jumping all over the place, it's going to be really hard for the reader to uh, understand the information that you're providing, understand what the path is, understand what the transformation is, and then integrate it into their life. So you really just need to stay on track. Don't go wandering off into the poison oak, So, and then anticipate what they're going to need to know or experience on the journey. So, I don't know, years and years ago, I went on a backpacking trip, and I had never gone before. I'd never backpacked. And we had a guide who was totally awesome. And so, she, before the trip, she sent out a little sheet that says, here's what you need to bring. And she was very adamant that don't bring more than this, because you are going to have to carry it. And so when we got to the meeting spot to start on the backpacking, the journey, she had everybody empty their packs. And she would literally go through and say, okay, you're not going to need this, you're not going to need it, because every ounce counts when you're carrying carrying all that stuff on the path. So you're gonna want to do it what she had been leading backpacking trips for years and years, so she knew what people are likely to do. They're likely to pack too much stuff, and then they're not going to be able to carry it, or it's going to make their trip harder and not as much fun. And um, so anticipate what they're going to need to know, anticipate what the experience is going to be for them. Again, this is why it can be helpful to have beta readers, and people helping you even as you're writing before you finish the manuscript, to make sure that you're anticipating everything that the reader is going to need to know to be able to make the transformation that you're promising. So here's our second homework. So download the reader journey worksheet that I created and follow the instructions. So this is designed to plan out your reader's transformative journey. And again, you can play with it. It's, have fun with it, and then share it with us in the group, because I would love to hear more about it. Maybe we can give you some insights and feedback. So yeah, do that. And here's a little bonus piece I just kind of added. Think about what your 3 favorite books are in the self-help or wellness space, and then read them, or read parts of them, or leaf through them. Study the table of contents, study the writing, study the practical elements that they're using, study the transformation that they're promising. Because what I want to do is I want to help you create the experience for yourself that you got from these favorite books that you are gonna be reviewing. So yeah, just get three of the books that you just love. Maybe you go back to them when you're in a hard place, or maybe you read them, some of them every day, or whatever it is. Really, look at those books, and look at what works well, look at what doesn't work well, take notes about it, share it in the group. I'd love to hear more about these books. But learn from the best, learn from people that created a book that you personally found helpful or inspiring or transformative, and see what they did. And you can reflect that in your own work with this book project that you're working on right now. So awesome. So congratulations, you've completed module 1 lesson 2 in the course. So I just want to before you keep going to lesson 3, just wanted to check in, make sure that you have joined the group for course members, you've done the homework in this lesson, and you've read and taken notes on your favorite self-help wellness book. So I will put in the description of the video, I will put the links and reminders and the document, the worksheets and everything, so that you have access to them. But do this before you keep going, because I want to make sure that you are in a great place to create the best self-help or wellness book that you can, and create and provide real transformation to your readers. So that is it. Thanks again for sticking with me till the end of this video, and I will see you in the next lesson, and hopefully in the group as well. So have a fabulous rest of your day. Bye.